Women are not objects of sexual pleasure.
Women deserve to be treated with respect and human dignity.
Women do not deserve to be constantly harassed.
Women do not live to satisfy men or anyone.
Hi, it's me again. Welcome back to my channel. For this video, I will be tackling rape culture and victim blaming, as you can see in the title. Wala talaga sa plans ko mag-film ng vlog soon after the last one. Kasi nga diba sabi ko, I have to study for an exam ngayong month. But super daming incident about harassment ang nagpa-pop up recently. Parang everyday na lang ako nakakakita sa timeline ko ng mga babaeng nag-speak out about being harassed and raped. Walang nangyayari at all. O nga pala, before anything else, gusto ko lang sabihin na I'm not here to promote hate towards men. I just want to emphasize that this world is conditioned to view women as objects and over-sexualize na kasi yung bodies namin for all the wrong reasons. And, some people remain unbothered kasi nga hindi naman sila affected. But I think this issue really needs to be addressed. So I believe it's important to use this platform and say something about this. What is rape culture? Rape culture yung norm na nag-enable and nagpa-promote ng sexual assault and rape on women. Actually, hindi lang naman mga babae, pero most cases kasi diba, babae yung victim. And isa pa pala, it is the normalization of blatant sexualization of women's bodies. And oftentimes, yung mga victim pa yung nasisisi when these things are committed against them. Rape culture is when people say she was asking for it, and when victims are questioned about what they were wearing and whether or not they were drinking nung time na yun. Most importantly, rape culture is teaching women how not to get raped instead of teaching men not to rape. I did a research on the rate of rape cases all over the world, and sabi dun, approximately 35% of women worldwide have experienced some form of sexual harassment in their lifetime. Less than 40% who experience sexual violence seek help, and less than 10% seek help from law enforcement. And sabi rin dun na women ages 16 to 19 are 4 times more likely to be victims of sexual assault and rape. And female college students are 3 times more likely to experience sexual assault. And di ba nga, most rape victims na nababalitaan natin ay women. But we should not deny the fact that men also experience sexual harassment, sexual assault, and rape every day. Pero bottom line, rape is a choice made by the rapists. Was it rape? This is a question commonly asked by too many victims to themselves. At some point, many of us have been sexually assaulted one way or another. Minsan di pa nga na-realize ng victims yun because they don't truly understand what constitutes rape and harassment. Some people naman are aware na nangyayari sa kanila but they choose to remain silent when these things happen kasi hindi nila alam kung anong gagawin, and sa mga nangyayari nga ngayon, hindi naman sila napapakinggan. I've encountered harassment too many times before. From catcalls, rape jokes, yung simpleng pagdikit ng mga malalikot na kamay sa side boob or sa thigh pag nasa public transpo, and even touching any part of my body without my consent. May time pa nga na guy friends ko na yung gumagawa ng inappropriate touches, but I can't do anything about it. Sobrang shitty sa feeling. Kasi kahit ilang beses na akong nag-advocate against harassment, and kahit gusto ko silang labanan, pag sa'yo na nangyari, parang biglang di mo na alam yung gagawin mo. Parang you get scared to the point where you stay frozen. I don't know why, but it happens. Then when women decide to speak up about it or say something like, men are trash, or men ain't shit, na-hurt yung fragile ego ng mga lalaki kasi masyado daw sila na-generalize. Now let's talk about male privilege and toxic masculinity. I'd like to mention the boys will be boys mindset. Kasi ang dami yung binavalidate na behavior, and it gives men a pass on sexism, harassment, and even homophobia. And ayun, men tend to assume that they have a right over women's bodies, and then they coerce us. Tapos i-gaslight tayo into thinking that we must have wanted it to let it happen, when in reality, pinilit lang tayo. More often than not, unapologetic sila about their actions, and they get away with it like nothing happened. And to those guys who kiss and tell, like yung mga nagbabrag and kayong mga nagsishare sa mga bros nyo na marami na kayong naanong babae, is it part of your bro code too? Disgusting.
Disgusting shit.
Moving on to slut shaming. This literally means shaming women for dressing as they want and interacting with whoever they choose. And dito papasok yung isa sa cornerstone ng rape culture, which is victim blaming. Wherein biniblame yung rape victims for being raped because they're drinking way too much, they're acting like sluts, or indecent yung pananamit, claiming na napaprovoke yung rapists. Valid reason ba yun ay yung mga minors, babies, and even animals nga nire-rape, eh hindi naman revealing yung suot nila, diba? Pero kahit ganon, wearing revealing clothing does not mean we're asking for it. Wag kayong tanga. Entiendes? Kasi una sa lahat, women can dress however they want without your approval. The length of our clothing does not measure our consent. We own our bodies and you are not entitled to them for whatever reason. Isa pa, no victim should ever be blamed for their own trauma. Now let's discuss consent. Most of us know about the question, size or performance. I'm telling you, hindi size or performance yung sagot. The only right answer to that is consent. For me, this is the most important thing when talking about rape. Kasi people think it's better to beg forgiveness than ask permission. I mean, kung di nyo talaga mapigilan yung libog nyo, at least try to keep your hands to yourself and your dicks in your pants, because no means no, and silence does not mean consent. Hindi naman siguro mahirap intindihin yun unless bastos or bobo talaga kayo. So, to my fellow women, if you're saying yes under pressure or just to please another person, but you know you wouldn't do it on your own accord, then it is not consent. Okay. Silence is not consent. Lack of objection is not consent. And that's on period. Now what can you do? Respect women. Do not rape. Do not harass. Stop treating us as mere objects. Bare minimum na nga lang itong hinihingi ng kababaihan, pero ang dami pa rin hindi nakakaintindi. What a shame. Stop normalizing sexism and objectification. You could at least try to help those who are silenced by fear. Support survivors. Amplify their voices. Provide a safe space for them. Educate people, especially men, not to be rapists. Because rape can happen to anyone, anywhere, and at any circumstance. Pwedeng sa family mo, sa friend mo, pwedeng sa'yo.
You shouldn't have put yourself in that predicament. It could ruin his future.
It's actually kind of sick that some people are more concerned about how the rapists might feel and not so concerned about how the victims and survivors will go on with their life. Kaya kung titignan natin, highly justified talaga yung anger and yung hatred ng victims. Again, rape culture is when it is more shameful to be raped than it is to be a rapist. E habang tumatagal, mas nahihirapan yung mga victims to speak out because they think that they would only be dismissed when they do. The best thing you can do is to call out your abuser or rapist friend kung meron. Tell them to stop and tell them it is wrong. Doing nothing about it and tolerating that kind of behavior means that you're enabling the perpetrators. Kasi nga, the only cause of rape is rapists and those who continue to enable them. Ulitin ko lang ha, kasi ulit-ulit na lang din naman tayo sa issue na to. Instead of teaching women how to avoid getting raped, perhaps more attention should be paid into teaching men how not to rape. Wala talaga mangyayari sa atin if we continue to allow the rapists to go unpunished and the victims silenced. We should normalize having these difficult conversations sa bahay, sa school, and even sa work. Because I swear, this is important if you really want to break the patriarchal system that enables rape culture and victim blaming. So, if you take offense to any of the things I said, then take a step back and ask yourself if you're part of the problem.
Once and for all, it's time to put a stop to this harmful culture.
Start holding sexual predators accountable.
Stop victim blaming.
Stop normalizing sexual violence.
Stop trying to tell us how to be women.